Today's lecture will be over chapter 22, section 2. Objectives. Number 1, discuss the holy places of different religious groups in the Eastern Mediterranean. Number 2, outline the history of political unrest in the region. Number 3, discuss the region's economy. And number 4, learn about modern life. One of the things that we're looking at today is that we're going to look at how the different religions have kind of been influential in the Southwest Asia, and specifically when we look at Israel and Palestine. So the first religion that we look at, and the oldest religion, is going to be the Jewish religion right here. Now, what we see is that eventually the Jewish religion is going to go ahead and it's going to have its first kind of split. And this split is going to actually, and a lot of people think this is going to be the Christian split here, but actually this is going to be Islam right here. And the argument, interestingly enough, is going to be over a gentleman by the name of Abraham. So what happens is that Abraham cannot have a child with his wife. And so what happens is that his wife basically gives a woman to Abraham to have a child. And this child is going to be named Ishmael. Now, because of this child is going to be an heir to Abraham, but not a true heir, because Abraham and his wife Sarah did not have the child together. Now, eventually what we see is that Abraham is going to be able to have a child with his daughter, or with his wife Sarah, and so that is going to go ahead and produce an offspring. So what happens is that these two religions split over the discussion about who is going to be the true heir to Abraham. If you believe that his firstborn Ishmael is going to be his true heir, but again not with his wife, you would follow the religion of Islam. If you were going to believe that it was actually his son, second born, but actually with his wife, you would continue to believe in the Jewish faith. And so what we see is that the Jewish religion continues on until we reach about the year 0. And in the year 0, the Jewish religion is going to be split again. But this time it's going to be split based upon the idea that there is a person born in here named Jesus Christ. Now the question is that during this time the Jewish religion did believe that a man existed named Jesus Christ. The question though with the Jewish people was he the Son of God? If you believe that he was not the Son of God, you continued to be considered Jewish. But if you were someone who believed he was the Son of God and you followed his teachings, this is where you're going to go ahead and you're going to have Christianity right here. And again, Christianity is based upon the teachings of Jesus Christ. So with this split right here, you're going to see the Christians and the Jewish people that continue to have the same Old Testament right here. The Islamic faith then is going to kind of splinter off and go in a completely different direction. So what we see is that your Jewish presence in Israel and in Southwest Asia is very strong. Jerusalem is a holy city to all three major monotheistic religions. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, and it's the center of modern and ancient homeland. The Temple Mount in the Old City housed the earliest temples. King Solomon's is going to have the first temple, and then it's going to be rebuilt in the second temple in 538 BC. Now today the Jewish people are going to pray at what's known as the Western Wall. And this Western Wall, or it's also known as the Wailing Wall, is the sole remainder of the second temple destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. This is where if you ever see pictures or videos of Jewish people that are kneeling and kind of swaying back and forth, they are praying at the Western Wall. Now, we also see the Christian heritage, and again, the Christians and the Jews are very closely related and very kind of have a lot of the same old parts of their religion because of the split that happens relatively new. So Jerusalem, again, is going to be the sacred site of Jesus' crucifixion, and the nearby towns and villages are also going to be part of Jesus' life. Christians are going to visit the Mount of the Olives, which is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and in the Middle Ages, they fought the Crusades to regain this land from the Muslims. The Muslims will eventually regain control of the land, but then in 1948, the Jewish people are going to be given back Israel, and in 1948, right after World War II. Now, the third religion who is really looking at this site is going to be Islam, and Jerusalem is the third most holy city in the Muslim behind Mecca and Medina. Now they have what's called the Dome of the Rock, and this is a shrine where it's believed that Muhammad rose to heaven. Jews believe that this is a site where Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac, and again Isaac is the one that was his born that they didn't think that they could have kids. Now the Dome of the Al-Aqsa is going to be a mosque that's located on the Temple Mount by the Western Wall. It's a close proximity of the holy sites fostered in the Jewish-Muslim clashes. So what we're seeing here is that we're seeing Israel right here. And again, what we see is that we see a kind of a small country right here, but this is all going to be very, very holy land. And so what happens is that there's a lot of people here, a lot of different religions, but this is where they're fighting, and they're fighting over land that is so absolutely important to them that they will never just give it up and say that they don't need it anymore. So it's very important to understand that Israel and Palestine is the name given to the Muslim people who want the land. They are fighting over land that is so important to their religion that they'll never give it up. Now the Ottoman Empire is going to rule this area from about 1520 to 1922. Eventually it's going to be weakened. Britain, France got lands after World War I when they defeat the Ottomans in Germany. France will take Lebanon and Syria. Britain take modern-day Jordan and Israel. Now both are supposed to give back the land where they're ready for independence. France initially stoked religious tensions between the groups, but Lebanon becomes independent in 1943, Syria 1946. So all of this area right here that we're looking at, this is really going to start to be created right during the end of World War II time. Now Zionism is an important kind of term right here. This is going to be a 9th century movement for a Jewish homeland in Palestine. So what we see is that the Jewish people want their own land, and they want the land that Palestine controlled. And so Zionism is, again, kind of this 19th century movement to say we want to give the Holy Land back to the Israel people, and that's, of course, exactly what happens. After World War I, British control the area. Arabs and Jews are going to cooperate. What we see is that the German persecution increases the number of Jewish immigrants, and the Arabs begin to resist this Jewish state. So what we see is that the area is going to be divided. Transjordan is going to be ruled by the Arab government and the British. Palestine is going to be ruled by the British with the Arab and Jewish local control of the governments. So again, this area is going to be divided and going to be fought over for a long time. After World War II, many Jewish Holocaust survivors settled in Palestine, and essentially the reason why the world and the United States gave this Palestine back to the Israel and the Jewish people is because they felt horribly bad about the Holocaust. Also, if you kind of look at the rest of the world and what was going on, a lot of people were kind of trying to expel the Jewish people from their land, and so they felt that this could be a land just to themselves. Israel created in 1948 and repeals invasion by Arabs many, many times. The Palestinian Arabs will flee, and the Palestinians are going to land on the West Bank. The Gaza Strip is going to be controlled by the Israel. So you've got two groups of people that absolutely hate each other that are basically living next door to each other. What we see is the Palestinian Liberation Organization is going to use the politics and the military to regain the land and return the refugees and basically take this back. So a continuing argument and fighting kind of ensues after this land is given to Israel. Another example, creation of Israel produces numerous Palestinian refugees. Right now there's 3.6 million across the region and in camps. A lot of these people are struggling for food, shelter, jobs, and lack of education, but Jordan has the largest Palestinian refugee population. Now there's also going to be civil wars. In Lebanon, Cyprus caused economic problems. The Lebanon War of 1975 and 76 is going to lead to Israel invading Lebanon in 1982, and we continue to see this fighting over and over. Now, what is going on in this area? A lot of people think that this area is very poor, when in fact Israel very rich. Nation has a potential for a lot of development. The climate is very good for citrus crops. Also tourism. There's a lot of people that want to go and they want to walk in the paths of Jesus. They also want to look and see the places like Mecca and Medina. So they're going to be looking for tourism to be a huge thing here. The location connects them to Europe, Asia, and Africa, and there's a lot of trading that's possible. But many of the nations lack the infrastructure to support a growing economy. Irrigation is needed for agriculture, communication systems, power. But Israel, again, very powerful, very rich. They're going to build sophisticated industries, computer software, and things like this. Also, eating out, what we do see is that people don't eat in restaurants like the United States. Some restaurants have separate male-female sections. We do see cafes, but they're usually only for men. Most of the meals are going to be eaten at home. Dinner can be very late, between about 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock. And then what we see is that you're going to see baba ganoush, you're going to see hummus. All of these things are going to be kind of connected. Kolache, fruit, and again, quite a bit of this stuff is going to be kind of localized. Cracked wheat, tabbouleh salad is going to be chicken, lamb, and they don't have beef here. Now, there's going to be two different types of groups that are going to, for the Muslims. You're going to see the Sunni and the Shiite, and we're going to talk a little bit about them later. Just remember, the Sunni are the majority and the Shiite are the minority, but we've seen a lot of leaders being Shiite Muslim. The Druze is going to be a secret religious group living in mountainous areas. The Maronite are going to be Eastern Orthodox Christians. Lebanon's capital, religious variety makes unity very, very difficult. Again, you have Christian, you've got Jewish people, you've got Muslim, all living in the same area, very difficult. Culturally, Israel is Jewish, but it's also home to other groups. The Bedouins, the Druze, the Sunni, the Circassians, the Christians, the Baz, all in this area, all are going to be fighting over land, and it's going to be very difficult to control. This completes our lecture over chapter 22, section 2. Please complete the assessment at this time.